project estimate, the initial estimate was $47,000. So we knew we would be on the hook for about $11,000. When the final design was done, and we could do a better quantity estimate, the price went up to $59,000. So there's a difference of $23,000 between what they will be giving us from the community development block grant and what we would have to hand there ourselves. So I just wanted, this is Irving between the railroad tracks.
Part of that was repairs.
Right, the major reason for the increase was that when the design was done, they noted that there were several areas in the existing asphalt that couldn't be repaved without having additional repairs done first. So that caused the price to go up quite a bit. So anyway, I wanted to make sure you were aware of that before you authorized the final agreement with it, because we will be on the hook for approximately $23,000. However, I have good news on that subject, but I'm not going to tell you until I have community.
Do you need Cletus to sign the legislator?
Probably it should go through community development first, so if you want.
Cletus wants to sign it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it will go before finance, finance, the first Monday.
Yeah. Are we going at all?
No, they can wait.
Drive that road
They can
every
wait
day.
for finance.
2 weeks. It's gonna be 2 weeks before we do.
Yeah, but, you know,
Pray
as long
for
as
do it all the
there's
time. The other way, so I can drive down the
it'll be
middle.
okay.
Yeah, we can get
Down
it
the road.
signed.
There's no shine, Brian.
Irving like tracks and thornwood. If we get them to cut those trees.
I'm gonna take it all off. Already be signed.
That's what it costs for that.
I can just have a straight.
It never dries out. Stays wet. Stays damp.
I go to the barber to get the sign. Country stuff. That's cheap. So I think I just take it all off.
Do you want to take it there to get it, so it's an ordinance?
But he gets me the same amount of time as everybody
Yeah.
else. That's what he told me.
Get that turned into ordinance for him, that way we'll have it already on the first ordinance for that Monday.
I've always said I'm gonna take
We don't, the right way, we got one more.
Yes. This is actually on your agenda.
Oh, okay.
John did an excellent job in administering the project, getting it all ready to go for eliminating the 2 lift stations. One of the lift stations that's going to be eliminated is in front of Scioto Drive. And it's little known that there's a strip of land called the Ohio Canal Zone. It's between Scioto Drive and the right-of-way for State Law 79. John has to cross this with new sewer line. He eliminates that lift station. So we have gotten a lease agreement through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, who administers the Ohio Canal lands, to allow this to occur. Now, the lease, we had 2 options, a lease and to actually acquire the property. The lease could be done immediately. That's what we have it now. And it's a 50-year lease, meaning we'll all be dead and gone by the time it expires. And at that time, ODNR will be asking us to renew it. The other option for actually acquiring the property would take over a year. It'd be a lot more complicated, and we didn't have that enough time available. So I'm obviously recommending that we go ahead with a lease agreement that's already been submitted to us by ODNR. There is a fee of $1,500, which is something to cover their expenses through the initiation of this. It's a one-time fee, but it's for a sewer line, so it's for more storage your money.
He's throwing the butter you up there. Yeah.
The Ohio Department of Natural Resources.
It's basically, it's a one-time lease agreement fee.
Oh, wow.
That covers the lawn mowing at Town Builders Park.
Canal lands will never, ever use again.
So anyway,
Are there any Indian bats residing on that?
no trees at all.
Just checking.
This is approximately a quarter of an acre of land. And it can only,
So I'm still reading about sewer meter that comes down. Is that we must be crossing another area that's in front of that, I see?
all that means is we probably don't have permission to do it. At least it is. Or, let me put this, or what happened is when the state put it all in, they got an agreement from the DNR, which I don't know, I wouldn't know. But in any case,
Based on a roll is 1,500 into the cost of the project then?
I can help.
Or we could roll it.
That's what I would say.
I mean, already got PO'd it.
Or I could even do it out of my engineering budget.
I would say just roll it into the cost of
Yeah.
the project, and then, that way if you come up, less in cost.
Extortion fund?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Odie and I was very
It's
nice
in
to
the red.
work with on this. They were very cooperative. They understood our situation.
I am.
They really didn't
$1,500
But it's a leasing fee, you know, you consider leasing land for 50 years or $1,500.
You said, you told me 15 earlier, and I thought, $15 for doing that? You said 1,500. I'm like, ooh. I missed that first part.
Yeah, I'd say let's just roll that.
We already did it this time.
Any other questions? Actually, it's a good deal by Odie and I.
That's a good deal for them, yeah. $1,500.
But you know, it's,
How do they justify the fee?
That's not a legislative request, or is it?
that's a legislative request. Right. Because we have to put this in ordinance form. Yeah, I got it.
Put it under duress.
And this should also be financed as well.
Extortion.
If you want, I can go ahead, I'll do the same thing.
We use the same
I
line
appreciate
item that we
I appreciate
use
John,
when we go
going
from
through,
Chicago, knocks on our door and wants to action.
Appreciate John getting that lease for us. He did all the work on getting the lease.
Thank you, John.
You know what, it would be interesting just to, as a follow-up, not that it should necessarily hold anything up here, but it'd be nice to know what costs they incur that total $1,500.
I would guess they had one of their things like that. So we might have gotten options.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for letting me come. You go, sir.
We don't want him back for a while.
Yeah. Good to see you, but don't come back.
We'll call you, don't call us.
Well,
Okay, we'll go ahead and get things started. We'll go ahead and talk about the new chlorination system that was at the water plant. And I've mentioned this before, but I kind of wanted to bring it up to date on pipeline stuff. We're doing this totally in-house, so there's quite a bit of savings on running. And that's putting this new chlorination system in. I just kind of wanted to highlight, what it's going to entail. It should be finished up this week. Probably. Yeah, you guys can have someone come in and do it, yeah. So, anyway, Mike Hannon's heading this project up, along with help of Bob Austin and Steve Robb. And like I said, I'm looking at the end of this week, it'll be completed. We just kind of wanted to mention that, and let everybody know that.
how does we'll have the switch over, we'll have tanks there at the new, chlorination spot. Obviously, we have tanks right now at the old chlorination spot. I mean, is it just a matter of closing one valve and opening another valve, or how will
Yeah,
that
I mean, we're
switch over
basically
work?
using the same chlorine tanks and everything. On this wall over here, which is not pictured, is the old chlorination system that's working right now, so Mike can take and do what he needs to do. and he'll get this one up and running in place. And once he does that, this section will come down. And the reason we're switching the coordinators is one, we were incurring a really large cost on maintenance. I mean, almost a couple $1,000 a year. That's something go in go through it. With this system, it's supposed to be a lot easier to do maintenance and things on it, on the different valves and the coordination system itself. So we're anticipating saving, some money because we're going to be doing most of the work ourselves and fixing it and all that. One thing I'd like to talk about briefly in this coordination system is we tried to fit this into the upgrade that we're doing. That's why we're doing it ourselves. We originally got the price back and it was enormous, and this was one of the items on the thing. And so we're taking some of these items ourselves and doing them ourselves, kind of like we did it the wastewater with the jet aeration system and the digesters. So this is something similar to that. We're doing it in-house. One thing I do want to add to this in the future, which I'm hoping we can take out of our regular budget, is that we will put a scrubber on this room after this. That was another thing that we wanted to do. If we wanted to continue with the gas, we would attach a scrubber to this ring. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with what a scrubber is, but if you would have a large chlorine release inside this building, we could actually scrub out the chlorine and discharge it into the atmosphere. And how that's done is with medium. Gas is forced through this medium, the chlorine is taken out of it, discharged to the atmosphere, and then you just replace that medium as needed. So that would be the next improvement, if we do something in-house. Another project that once we get this up and running, and I would like to add to the plan. That is some of the piping at the bottom that we'll be replacing here. A lot of the lines will be, most of these brass lines and copper lines will all be replaced with plastic. So, just wanted you to be aware of that.
Just a question. What are we gonna do with access?
This here, what I do is, what the guys do is they'll eventually turn it in, if it's like copper or brass or anything like that.
That's what.
Yeah, it's turned into a foundry, and then they cut us a check, and I give a check to Heath. We haven't got brass or anything that accumulates. Same way the wastewater plant, they have metal and any kind of pipe or anything. They took one this year, was it late last year?
I think it was late last year.
Late last year. When anything accumulates like that, it's not usable, and you can't use it, you go ahead and turn that in to a metal recycling place, and then they cut us a check for that money. It goes back in that budget. At least I hope it goes back in. That's what Keith tells me. So, I'm sure it is. I kind of wanted to mention the enclosing of the distribution building. This is another project that we're taking on, and basically what we do is we take a little bit at a time and we add to what we have down there. If you guys remember, right, we approved a lean-to over a portion of that a couple years ago. Well, we did that. So this year, we decided to add, enclose it in a little bit more. So we're going to enclose the side and enclose the front and the back to a portion. And that's pictures of this. That's an actual. And there's the side finished and closed. And then there's the front portion of that. Now eventually what we'll do is maybe next year, give a little bit of extra money. We'll go ahead and put a garage door on here, and back here, so that we can totally enclose it. So we're just taking our time and doing what we can with the money that we have. And eventually they're gonna have a nice little building there that they're gonna be able to store equipment and stuff.
You do all this internal.
Yes, well, some of it, like the garage doors and stuff. I also wanted to mention that line removal is still underway. I don't know if you guys noticed, but you'll see big trucks driving by Dorsey Mill Road or out on State Route 79. That's full of our line. We will remove approximately around 2,000 to 2,500 dry tons of that this year. They're well on their way of that, probably 3/4 done for this year. Then we have another quarter left to go. So it's still underway. When I drove out to the site where they're actually putting the lime and spreading it on the fields, this is some of the equipment that they use. A truck pulls in here like that, they off ramp it into a little tanker like this. It's got these remotes on it, the tractor, it's like a little tank actually. That's actually a picture of them spreading it on the field. Actually them spreading it on the field flares it out. I don't know if you can see it in the back. It looks like, when I went out there, it looks like it had snowed. And then what's really weird about it is right after a rain, it just washes all that right down into the ground. This is Painter here.
Painter?
Interstate 40.
Yeah.
It's outside of Hebron city limits there.
The shells get in it.
Shells got it in the past. That's actually them removing that, and I think I showed you pictures of this before. There's actually a picture of the field that's completed. Has a white cast in it. You see across the street here. I took these pictures there after a meeting with Hebron. Just happened to notice that they were down there. So I pulled them there and snapped them. Didn't realize exactly where. They also gave some to here on State Route 79 by TSC Miller Farm. I think they've applied it out there too. So anywhere they can get it. Also kind of want to bring up another cost savings that we did. This is actually where we had a name break. We utilized our personnel to repair the sidewalk. This is field point. Right about across, where Jim Water Cutter lives. He lives on Indian Head. This is at the corner of the field pointing into here. And in the past, depends on how busy John is, but he's got some men that have a concrete background now, and John's got a concrete background. So this concrete costs about $325. That's all we got in the job. And if we'd have hired that out, it probably would have $700. That's what we did. So, best utilizing our own personnel and doing it ourselves. I don't know if it came out or not. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm gonna check.
Too busy.
That's what you need right now. Oh, really? Look at you.
Another thing I kind of wanted to bring up, the mayor and myself and John Appleman had a meeting with Hebron to discuss a tie-in with Hebron. Basically, that tie-in would amount to an emergency. And kind of what I'm showing here, it's not really what I wanted to show, but it is in a way. But you have the North Water Plant, you have our water plant, and you have Granville Water Plant. We are currently all tied in together. If we have an emergency, we can help each other out. We turn on a couple of valves, and Nork can help us out. We can help Nork out. We can actually extend into Granville from where we're at too, if it would be necessary. So we have mutual aid in the water. Hebron is, I think the EPA's been on them a little bit, wanting to know what their backup is. So they've been approaching us. First meeting was scheduled. They scheduled it. I think everybody showed up, but then the mayor, he was out of town or something happened. But then we did finally get together a few weeks ago to discuss exactly what we want to do. This is water. This is water. We have no tie-ins to any other wastewater. I don't know if this figure goes back there. No, we just get fined. So that's not. I drew this up. The mayor and I sat down, and also John Appleman, and we discussed how we would provide water to you. If you're familiar with this is State Route 79. Our original intention was possibly just to come from this location here where this pond is, our water main ends right about there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the big pond out on Route 79. Geigers.
Yeah.
Right at about the end of their pond is where the hydrant is. We talked about possibly extending to even down the road here. We have to bore under a creek that comes through here. This is kind of covering it up. We have to bore under a creek and then bore back under the road again, which we thought would be a lot of cost incurred. The other thing we were looking at is, if we're going to run a water line this summer, we want to make it viable for us to have tax in the future from this. And also, they're going to have to help us cost that. We're getting together costs to see what it's going to be. We're not just supplying everything. This is in the early stages, just kind of talking about it right now. So we don't know exactly how it's going to work. But what we kind of came up with was a kind of an alternate route, where we would come down here to Beaver Run. We could run it down Beaver Run, which opens up more ground for development in this location and in this location here. If we could get an easement through here, we would only have one bore because we go under the railroad track and then also the creek that's right here. Come up into the back of Beaver's wastewater plant, bring it up here and connect to there. It's about a little over a half a mile. So how it's going to be paid for, whether or not there's EPA money available, if we can get any kind of grant money for that, if the EPA is pushing them, we may have some ability to maybe say, hey, yes,
Then apply for the grant.
they can apply for the grant. There's a lot of discussion yet left. I'm basically preliminary getting cost estimates on what it's going to cost. They don't know about this route yet. We kind of discussed this route in our meeting. We're kind of pushing for this route because all this ground here would be, this is out of floodplain. And all this ground here is out of the floodplain. So why would we want to run a water main down here and open, the cost to build this up and get it out of floodplain would be unbelievable. Don't see much development. But here, coming down Beaver Run and down this farm into the back entrance of where we need to go, it opens all this ground up here for development, this ground up and this ground up to possibly.
I'm just thinking, we built to find the water tower, the new tower.
That is what they would be connected on.
They would be connected to
high
that.
pressure system.
Although it's only for an emergency, so it's not gonna affect the pressure now. If they did tap onto it, it would affect the pressure in the.
That's part of our study. I mean, we do have a model of our system. We'll plug those parameters in, see how much we can give them. If it's on a continual basis where we would be supplying them every day, day after day, then we would probably have to look at maybe more storage out there. But under an emergency situation where, let's say, there's plants underwater, or they flooded, or something crazy happened to them out there, we could keep them in water long enough with conservation to get them back up online.
So also what's happened too is that they had a fire in the industrial park and drained their water tanks down to just literally a few feet left in the tanks. And so if they had an incident like that take place, we would be able to help keep the village in a water supply.
And because they'd be, probably mutual aid, they'd be tankering it from us anyway. I mean, if they did run out, I mean, so we're not be able to supply it. Right? Yes, they have some problems.
I think the bigger question was, this park develops, or industrial park develops, Port Authority down in this area, that property by Ohio owns, and if we did provide them water in the event that they had some issues, what problem does that create for us if there were a fire in one of the industrial facilities in the park and they didn't have enough water pressure to supply the system? I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud,
Yeah,
what kind of liability.
it's a mutual aid type thing,
So-
and we have to mutually come together. There's agreement and legislation that tells us how we do that. And if we would come to a point where it would hurt us.
We have an ordinance like that in place already with Newark, because we have a tie-in with Newark on 30th Street.
Okay. I'm just curious.
So what we would do is we would meet out there and we'd say, I'm sorry, we've given you all we can give you. We need to protect ourselves. We would have to shut them down. There would be a valve on their side, a valve on our side. We can go out any time on our side and shut that off. We have something that we feel is going to be a jeopardy. If it would be something major, the worst that would happen is instead of in the industrial park, we'd have pressure that was, instead of in the 80s and 90 psi, you are going to have pressure 50 to 55 psi. It would fall back on our old system.
Still enough to run on there.
Yeah.
I thought we already had a connection to Heath, was done several years ago,
Newark you do, not the Hebrew.
but they had to come through Heath. They went on the east, they went to Heath.
We don't have a water line connection.
If you look back, you'll find it plan.
You might have talked about it, but it was never done. We have no connection to the Hebrew. We do have connection to Newark, and Newark is connected to Granville. So that's what this kind of shows. How our network would be a little bit. It doesn't really, it's a little bit, but that's basically what it's like.
So does he have a capacity issue
No,
compared to ours?
no. Neither one of us have a capacity issue. This is, again, the idea behind this is a emergency type situation. If their plant were down, they could, if I remember the numbers right, they could barely keep us in water. We'd be pushing their plant to pretty much its capacity, based on today's usage.
If we had the.
Uh-huh.
They could help us too.
Yeah.
I mean, they could actually keep water to our industrial area and help us out in that area.
So are they connected to, is Lincoln County Water, wastewater, is that just sewer down at the lake, or is that water?
They're not connected to anyone.
No, I'm just kind of curious.
They're on the opposite side of State Route 79.
Yeah.
See, originally, Buckeye Lake wanted Hebron to connect to it. And,
For water.
yeah. And Hebron couldn't strike a deal. I don't know what the circumstances were, but then what happens is Millerport goes, we'll do it. So they ran a line to them, put a pump station in there, so all of Buckeye Lake's water is supplied by Millerport. But they couldn't get a deal worked out with Hebron, which is much shorter. I couldn't, other than the bore under State Route 70.
Oh, Interstate 70.
Yeah, they'd have to bore under Interstate 70, but distance-wise, from it was a lot shorter. So the talks broke off with Hebron, and before you knew it, Millerport was supplying Buckeye Lake water. If you notice, they got some kind of a big grant on Buckeye Lake. It was part of that Obama stimulus a few years back.
Yeah.
And they put in that real nice water tower down there. That was all stimulus money.
Yeah.
And the water lines and stuff that was ran through Buckeye Lake was all stimulus money. They were one of the ones that qualified for that. Which was great for them. Wasn't too good for us.
Yeah, that was one of 2 Lincoln County projects that got funding or something like that.
So, kind of wanted to make you aware of that. Like I said, we're still in preliminary stages of talking, and I'll keep you updated as things progress. And again, we aren't running the full bill on this. This is something that we're talking over. How do we go about doing this? Whether or not this has been talked about years before, I don't know if we'll get this accomplished, but this isn't anything that hasn't been talked about. And I think that's probably what Cletus is remembering, is that it has been brought up several times before, but it's never been carried through. Water plant improvements, schedule must be completed within 450 days. I know I told you guys that that's what's on the contract. They actually have 450 days to complete it. Normally what they do is they come in and get it done. I'm anticipating, if everything goes smooth, that they should wrap this up in about 6 to 8 months. The water plant improvements. But the engineers nowadays try not to pressure the contractors too much, because if they do, then costs start going up. Because they start getting worried about it, whether or not they can get it done in this amount of time, so they start opening up that window. that's why that proposal to be done. We have contracts to be signed yet. We're in the process of doing that. After that, we'll have a pre-construction meeting. After the pre-construction meeting, we have a notice to proceed. Once they get the notice to proceed, that's when that 450 days kicks in. Okay. Any questions on more? I wanted to show you guys, this is a wastewater plant. This is a room that the guys just finished up working on. Of course, the wastewater plant has a lot of equipment. They have a lot of books that they have to refer to on parts.
Where is that?
That's right across from Jack Brown's office.
Oh.
We installed all these additional places. Were you involved in that? The installation? But anyway, all of our equipment is in parts and everything's in books and stacked in there. All of our mapping and stuff is in this room. There's a control panel over here. But I thought the guys did a really good job putting up shelves, making it so we had a lot of good access to equipment parts. And, you know, it makes a big difference if, you know, you have something that goes down, pull that book out, say it's a screen or it's a grit removal system or a sludge press or something, open that book up, there it is, all the parts, everything that we need, and get things fixed.
You got them organized by the Dewey Decimal System?
Nah, but it's a lot better than it was. But it was all thrown in boxes and stuff before, and you'd have 2 or 3 boxes and stuff all spread out, looking for something, and it's a lot better.
Yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. The other thing I wanted to mention was we just got another. This building's actually longer than it looks. I think I stressed it. Picture a little bit. It's not quite that long. In order to fit it in the PowerPoint, I think that kind of distorted it a little bit. But anyway, we put a new roof on this building here. I think we have about $6,000 in that roof. It's just a 30-year roof. I think it's a good deal. So I wanted you guys to be aware of that. What's in our stormwater? John Draws, I'm really wish he would have stayed around. Just kind of over the stormwater thing, and I was going to ask him what's in the stormwater. You got a call last week, wasn't it? It was last week. But we had a lot of rain, and I think the storm system couldn't handle the amount of water. So we get a call from Park National Bank, and they say, there's something yellow flowing out of the manhole. That's the call that I got. So, you know, I get the way.
Where's this at? On 30th?
Park National Bank.
On 30th?
On 30th.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Okay, right in the back there. So, you know, I call the guys up and say, hey, you know, there's something yellow flowing out of the manhole up there behind Park National Bank. So anyway, we get there, and sure enough, you know, the water had receded, but there's this yellow cast to the water, to what was left over, and that's a little better picture of it than we're thinking. So we go in, we talk to Park National Bank, and the people that called us, and I said, yeah, I said, see that Chinese restaurant back here? Yeah. Well, every once in a while we see them dumping something in the storm drains out there. So Dan's
Closed?
huh?
Is that one's closed or is it?
Well, it's one
You talking about the Tokyo Japanese
I don't want to
steakhouse?
mention it. There's a Chinese restaurant that's behind Park National Bank.
Japanese.
Japanese
Japanese.
Alright.
Asian.
Asian bistro. Asian bistro.
So anyway, Dan Stokey, which is, you know, he's in charge of our industrial, also our fog program on fats, oils, and greases. We go around on a periodic basis, stop in and visit these places, make sure that they're cleaning their grease traps out, doing what they're supposed to be doing, because if they don't, all that grease and stuff ends up in the wastewater plant, and we have a heck of a time treating, right? So anyway, they claim that they have not dumped anything down there. And then they asked us if we got any pictures of them dumping stuff down there. And we said, no, but we told the bank people that if they see them, if they please snap something up with their phone and you know, let us know.
Would they have security cameras on that back parking lot?
I bet they did.
We didn't get into that.
I mean, that's what you're talking about, right?
That'd be fine.
In between their back parking lot and the
As far as
building?
PNB maybe, or maybe, I don't know if the,
I'll
No,
bet
no, I mean
I bet
PNB.
PNB's got.
PNB
could.
might have a
Cameras.
security camera.
we could ask them.
That would be
But anyway, they've been warned, you know, we hate to do, you know, I don't know, stuff like this happens when restaurants start struggling and having a hard time maybe making, you know, they're trying to find ways of not having someone come in and haul their grease out, something like that. Or maybe just one of their employees didn't know him, but I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure there's one.
You know, I just don't know. You know,
Brian, isn't there anybody around in the area that will go to restaurants and collect their old grease for the purpose of creating a biodiesel?
edible. There's a couple of them. There's two or three of them around there.
I mean, they pretty much will take it for free,
The ones that are
right?
picking it up, no. The ones that are
No?
maybe the guy who's making up some biodiesel in his garage would love to get it for free, but the companies that are picking it up, they're charging a fee for that. And most of those companies are putting it back in the biodiesel market. They're taking it to a remnant plant, and the remnant plant is where like they'll take roadkill or whatever, and they basically cook the whole fats and greases out of the animals, and then they make lipstick and stuff like that. That's what they do with it.
So when you see your wife put on her lipstick,
Yes.
You know where that came from?
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's what they do.
anyway, they claim every time they come to pump us out, it's $300. That's what the manager says. So it's not free. They charge.
They do.
And you know, the thing that we stress is, you know, have you been out when they pump this? Because we pumped their manhole and it was pretty bad. Their fog their grease trap. And we said, well, were you here when they, you know, if they know, you know, when they pull in and they just pump it down real quick and don't get it cleaned out like it's supposed to be and do a good job, you know, it's really worth the manager to be, because if not, they'll be back and you'll have to come back again.
Yeah.
And
If they clean it out right, they won't be able to
Extend it.
come back to
Yeah.
as frequently.
They can extend that time and stuff. So it's, you know, it's a give and take thing, but it's well worth the manager or somebody, the employee of the restaurant to stand out there when they pump these. But more than likely, they come in, they pump it, nobody knows they're even there, they're gone and they're out of it. And then they send it.
Well, they know when they're there.
But
Oh yeah, all of us definitely know that. And a lot of times they do it late at night or real early in the morning so that they're not doing it while people are trying to go eat. Because it does, the odor is bad. Right? Am I right, Nick?
did you ask if they have any paperwork to show where they've had did they provide you?
I think, yeah, Dan Stofan's handling all that. He's had a
Just
couple
curious.
meetings with, yeah.
Just curious if they.
He's had a couple meetings with them already. I don't know exactly what all information he has, but we make sure that when we do have a problem like this, they're supposed to send us a manifest every time they come in and pump that. It's supposed to go to our records. It's usually emailed to us, then we know exactly who's having it pumped. And if we see no manifest come in, then those are the places we stop and visit. You know, well, why isn't it? You know, why haven't you got the manifest? Well, we just forgot to bring it in.
Where does this drain actually drain to? I mean, where's this pipe, how's it eventually?
You know,
Yeah,
I don't really know a whole lot about the stormwater, but, you know, I don't track that. I mean,
I mean, does it go, or is it like a dry well
It actually goes
situation, or
in
does it actually
behind-
eventually flow to the river? I mean, does it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All the stormwater does. Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the majority of our stormwater does.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know or not, but there's PNB over here. Here's this manhole, and here's that strip shopping center. It's on this side, and then Jack in these places back this way. But there's a couple manholes right behind them, and then it connects into this one, and then evidently the flow must come out and down through that direction through 30th Street. Probably does something. I mean, I don't know where it goes to.
I would almost guess that little stream of water behind like the Kroger, it probably ends up dumping in there.
Yeah. And you know, this isn't unusual. I mean, we run across weird things all the time. One thing weird is we never realized, but found out years ago that Shea House was tied into the storm.
Yeah.
Not the sanitary sewer. So we had to get that fixed. People inadvertently don't realize, this has nothing to do with this, but sometimes don't realize what stormwater and what's sanitary sewer. No, as long as you have one time. That's the mayor.
Thank Park National for that whistleblower.
But yeah, and it's just something I wanted to mention. We're in the middle of some spring cleaning at the wastewater plant. This is our post aeration system.
Shane posed him for that picture.
I think he is. He told me. I think I yelled at him. He looked up. He was brave.
Fish biting or what?
This is our post aeration system where we had chlorine and so forth. We clean these tanks really good at right before we start. May 1st, we'll start chlorinating the water that's discharged into the South Fork of the Licking River. It's a requirement. So May 1st, we start doing that. So they're cleaning all the tanks out and getting ready for that. That's what it looked like kind of before we started. That's semi through where they're at right now. And I didn't get the final picture of what it looks like now, but it's totally white, cleaned out, and they actually painted this piping right here. We painted this.
They actually filled it up.
Did they fill it up today? I know we like to run it a little bit before we start, make sure everything's pumping right, working right. We chlorinate, and then we dechlorinate. So we're not allowed to add chlorine to the river. So we chlorinate it, kill the bacteria, and then right before it discharges to the river, then we dechlorinate it, take the chlorine out of it, and then it's discharged to the river. So it's kind of a lot of plants nowadays are using ultraviolet, which involves no chlorine. It's something that we considered in the last plant upgrade with the cost and everything, amount of electricity. We decided to stay with chlorine. In the future, someday, you may see the EPA say, hey, they can mandate it in the future. I can see that happen. Although it would affect a lot of the smaller systems, and costs on smaller systems would increase the cost. So that's probably why it's not mandated at this point. This is the guys again. Actually, what they're doing here is they're removing some foam that's accumulated on top of the aeration, and this is called filamentous growth, which this is what happens when I talk about the fall program and oil and grease. You got excess grease and stuff going to the wastewater plant. It causes this filamentous growth, which forms, it comes back in a form of foam on the irrigation tanks. If you let it get too bad out of control, this is called it's a bacteria. This will be on the text. It causes foaming, filamentous growth.
The cardi.
Okay.
You knew that.
Yeah. That's what happens when you take the last test. Took us about 8 years. So anyway, Nocardia, and there's some other filamentous growth that causes this foaming. It can actually get so bad that it will actually puff out over top the irrigation tanks and land on the ground if it gets out of control. So what these guys are doing now is they're vacuuming that off the top of that with our vac truck, vacuuming the foam off. Then what they were doing is they were dumping it and sending it directly to our digester to be digested. Then it would be pressed, and we will be getting rid of that. And so far, I was down there today, looked through the irrigation tanks, and it appears that it's worked pretty well. The foam is way down from what we were showing here.
So that's for grease?
Actually, actually, any of your restaurants, we're Restaurant Row here, so we got a lot of oils and grease. That's why we have the fog program. If we have, more grease than what we like, then you can release bacteria to grow. It's filamentous growth on top. And the bad thing you don't want to do is A lot of guys used to go out and spray this with chlorine. They spray it all over, and boy, it just clears it up. Looks really nice, and then about 2 weeks later, it had twice as much fun. And what this does is it kills it, goes down to the bottom of the tanks. Everything looks great, and then it multiplies down there, picks back up on top, and then you have twice as much foam as you originally had. So that's why the guys use a back truck and back it off the top. They discharge it to the digesters. We immediately process it, mix it in with the solids.
So is Dan kind of pulling it?
Dan's pulling it towards the back.
Nick's the only one I see without a tool in his hand.
I don't know, I can't figure that out. Usually Nick's the one with the tool in his hand, but he must have been observing.
Is that right?
Or maybe he was
Because he knew the name of it.
he knew the name and what it was. So that's why he was able to stand back.
Nick, somebody's got to be the boss, right? Youth and Government Day's coming up. That's always a highlight of all the departments, all the tours.
Walking on this.
You want to leave some of that there. That gives the full effect on Youth and Government Day.
That's right.
The aroma, the look.
They all love to
The
stop
whole
there
thing.
first.
Oh, that's the first stop you want to make.
So yeah, Dan's
Just
pulling it
before
in. Jack has his hose right here. That's what Dan is pulling it towards. Lee is also pushing it into him. Back truck setting off back in here, and they're backing it on. So that's them moving the foam a little more. Lift station removal. I wanted to mention that the deadline on the lift station removal is December 1st. I anticipate that job being wrapped up within probably 2 to 3 months once they get started. But they do have till December 1st to actually close it out.
That it shouldn't have much impact on 79 traffic.
There's a possibility that one lane could be closed during some of it, but no, you have still second out what you want. The majority of this is being for directional work. So you're not going to have a bunch of open ditches or anything. There'll be an open ditch right at the lift station. Okay. I also wanted to pass this out.
Hey, where are the pumps going to be stored that we're taking out?
They will be stored under the lean-to.
The wastewater plant?
Wastewater plant. That is where all of our pumps and everything are stored under out of the weather. This kind of
What do we do? Clean them up, oil them up, and then let them just sit?
set, and then if we need them, we go down there. Sometimes it's the exact pump that we need, but sometimes we have to change the impeller to make it work in another lift station. So we'll take that out and we'll change the impeller. Sometimes it's just a direct, and it'll work. We don't have to worry about that. This explains the construction that's going on. Here, if you want to take one of those, if anyone asks you about what's going on at the wastewater plant, or what's going on at the water plant, this kind of explains a little bit about what we're doing this summer. I anticipate everything starting to break loose around May or the first part of June.
Kent, do you want one? Oh, we can show up.
Just give them John Silver.
Yeah, I was actually going, I don't know if, maybe that made sense. Maybe we did a little publicity, or let the citizens know that I may email that to you for you.
Right.
Send it out to,
You got a couple others, John?
Yeah.
we'll send it to the Heath News too. They'll run it.
So, I'll let the Eagle News go, and I'll also let Kent know, and
Might have to do a little write-up for the Heath News, a little article, kind of going into a little bit more detail and explanation as to the whys and the hows. They'll like that.
and then the only other thing I have, and we'll wrap things up here in less than an hour. So, major fund reports, those are the numbers in the major funds. As you can see, the replacement fund is where the improvements to the lift station will come out of. That is this fund. So, yeah, and also, I think Keith did a really good job on financing the water plant improvements. 10 years, getting paid off at 2.4% interest. Unbelievable. I don't think there's even any EPA loans out there, so I think really, if you go checking into stuff. There's, stuff like that coming out with data. Doesn't hurt. Other than that, have time for questions or questions?
I got a couple of non-question things. Not for John's thing, opposite of John's or other than John's committee. So when he done with his committee, I just got a couple things.
Oh, okay. No other? Okay, meeting adjourned.
Good report.
Thanks, Sean.
Since all the council people are here, don't forget with youth and government, we need like a committee report for me to give to your student that's doing your thing. So, as soon as you have a report, or just stick it in my box. And well, the youth and government's May I can't see the calendar from here. What is that?
May the 9th.
May 10th is the.
So we'll have a meeting, our Monday night meeting. What's that? The 6th.
Yes.
So it'd be nice to have it after that, or on Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that, just because they'll come in here on Thursday morning, and it'd be nice to have it first thing Thursday morning. So if you can think about it between now and then, like if you do a report on Monday night, have it ready. If you've already done one from last time, whatever, doctor it up. It doesn't have to be current. It can be, it can be fictitious. It can be made up. It can be current. It can be whatever you want it to be. But that's it. The other thing is milling on 30th Street in Heath could start Wednesday or it could be Thursday. I don't know. I've had conflicting reports. So
Weather related.
it kind of is, but they can mill in the rain, so it's not that important. It just depends on where